Tonight on NewsWatch, are lawmakers in Washington closing in on a deal? We'll take a look at how the shutdown is affecting the world's view of the U.S. Plus, a somewhat surprising winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. We'll show you which group was picked for this year's award. And how the work of Adolf Hitler is still influencing the Middle East today. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin. The country is on day 11 of the partial government shutdown, and there are finally some encouraging signs from Washington. But the two sides still disagree over how and when to reopen the government. Heather Sells has more in tonight's top story.
Senate Republicans met with the president for 2 hours this morning, a time that leader Mitch McConnell called useful. Right now, more specifics are coming out of a Thursday night meeting between the president and House Republicans, where GOP lawmakers made a proposal.
We had a very useful meeting. It was clarifying, I think, for both sides as to where we are.
The House Republican plan would raise the debt ceiling for 6 weeks as talks about a broader budget deal continue. The president has neither accepted nor rejected the offer. The White House has been pushing for an extension of at least a year, but now there seems to be room for negotiation.
Longer is better, but avoiding a crisis is better than having a crisis.
House Republicans also want an easing of across-the-board spending cuts that began a year ago. They'd like to replace them with curbs in benefit programs that the president himself has backed. As the shutdown continues, there's growing concern for hundreds of thousands of federal workers who've been furloughed, and the international community is beginning to ask questions about damage to the global economy if the impasse continues. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Our senior editor, John Waggy, has been following the shutdown showdown, and he joins us now with more. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Mark.
We appreciate it. Our warnings from the global community about the mess in Washington, would you say that they're falling on deaf ears?
Well, Mark, I look at it this way. If you've got a boxing ring and you got two fighters going at it in a knockdown, drag-out fight, you can yell all you want to outside the ring, to the fighters in the ring, but that doesn't mean they're going to hear you or pay attention to it. This is a protracted, long struggle over the size and control of the federal government in Washington. And there can be people with opinions who are making their opinions known toward Washington, but that doesn't mean that Washington's going to listen right now.
Sure. Would you say that the government shutdown is making America look weak to the rest of the world?
Well, weak is relative. Yes, it is a battle that doesn't reflect perhaps well on the United States, but look, how many times in the last month have we seen something, for instance, a shutdown of the banks in Cyprus, or the needy countries in the Mediterranean threatening to take down the euro, those kind of things. I mean, lots of economic entities and governments around the world are having their problems, and Americans basically voted for divided government, and we have it. From the Republican-controlled House to the Democratic-controlled Senate to the Democratic-controlled White House, Americans voted for that, and so we're playing this out in front of the world right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about tourism. Tourists from around the world, they've been turned away from parks, monuments, memorials. Is all of this going to cost American tourism?
Well, I think it might a little bit. I mean, when you see or hear about the kinds of things where at Yellowstone Park, where a group of Australians and Asians were in with other American tourists, and basically the park rangers come along and not only shut it down, but keep people from taking pictures of Old Faithful and sites that they paid hundreds, thousands of dollars to see. That's not going to help in the international arena if somebody has a choice to spend their tourist dollars. On the other hand, if the dollar remains relatively weak compared to some of the other currencies around the world, I think you're still going to get a lot of people who want to still make the venture to the United States.
All right, John Waggy, thanks for your insights.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Appreciate it. Well, since the shutdown, CBN News has been following the issue of civilian Catholic priests being locked out of military bases. It appears the problem won't be resolved before Sunday. The Catholic Military Archdiocese says priests are still barred from performing religious services on about 50 military posts worldwide. The House passed a resolution to allow the chaplains to return, but Pennsylvania Democrat Bob Casey blocked a vote in the Senate. In what appears to be a message to Iran, the Israeli military posted footage of a long-range flight exercise on YouTube Thursday. They posted this video of a mid-air refueling of a fighter jet. Now, these drills have been done before, but putting up the footage just days before Western powers opened new talks with Iran over its nuclear program seems aimed at reminding Iran that a military option is still possible. Israel views a nuclear-armed Iran as a threat to its existence and has warned the West against giving into Iran's softer tone.
People have tried to destroy this time and time again. They've not succeeded. And we're not going to let the likes of the Ayatollahs succeed. The important thing is it's not merely an Israeli issue. It's also your issue.
What do you expect from the
and I think it's an issue for Germany. I expect them to do the right thing. And the right thing is not to fall into a trap.
The Israeli Air Force plays a central role in carrying out Israel's military option if necessary. Meanwhile, Iran has canceled its annual anti-Israeli conference. The move is part of President Rouhani's efforts to ease tensions with the West. The conference was set up by Rouhani's predecessor, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. It promoted his anti-Israeli views. During the conference in 2005, Ahmadinejad said Israel should be wiped off the map and suggested the Holocaust was a myth. One of the organizers calls the cancellation a disaster. The Nobel Peace Prize goes to the global watchdog responsible for ridding Syria of its stockpile of chemical weapons. Now the Norwegian Nobel Committee is being criticized for the unexpected decision. Caitlin Burke reports.
The favorite to win the Nobel Peace Prize this year was Malala Yousafzai. She's the Pakistani girl who was shot in the head after standing up to the Taliban.
And I want every girl, every child to be educated.
Instead, the prestigious award went to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. The chairman of the Nobel Committee defended the choice.
As I said, it is because of its long-standing efforts to eliminate chemical weapons, and that we are now about to reach the goal, namely to do away with a whole category of weapons of mass destruction.
The OPCW was started to enforce the Chemical Weapons Convention. That's the first international treaty to outlaw an entire class of weapons. Most of its work has been out of the spotlight. But this year, the UN called on the organization to help investigate the use of chemical weapons in Syria. The OPCW Director General said in a statement, "I truly hope that this award and the OPCW's ongoing mission, together with the United Nations in Syria, will help efforts to achieve peace in that country and end the suffering of its people." He went on to say that the $1.2 million of prize money will be used to help accomplish the goal of eliminating chemical weapons. The first inspections team arrived in Syria last week. They've already begun to oversee the first stages of destroying Assad's chemical weapons stockpile. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
The European Parliament has passed a resolution calling for Iran to release and clear the name of American pastor Saeed Abedini. He's being held in Iran because of charges related to his Christian faith. The resolution had broad support, and for more on Pastor Saeed's case and how you can join those calling for his release, visit our website, cbnnews.com. Religious liberty, abortion, and the sanctity of marriage are some of the hot-button issues topping the agenda at this weekend's Values Voters Summit. It's one of the lead conservative conferences of the year and sponsored by the Family Research Council. FRC's president began the summit today, quoting the Declaration of Independence.
Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. They don't have our consent to take our freedoms and our liberties, and that message will be sent this week.
Senator Ted Cruz also spoke today, as you see there, urging GOP lawmakers to stand strong in their fight over the budget. And still ahead on NewsWatch, another speaker from the Values Voter event joins us. We're going to hear from Craig James about his fight for religious liberty. Coming up, CBN News takes a look at a string of terror attacks against Israelis.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Fox Sports Southwest hired former NFL running back Craig James in late August as an on-air analyst. A few days later, the network fired him. That after statements he made last year resurfaced. At the time, James was running for U.S. Senate in Texas. Speaking at a campaign stop, he opened up about his religious beliefs on homosexuality and gay marriage. Those beliefs, he says, are what got him fired. One statement from Fox Sports seems to confirm that. Another contradictory statement says James was let go because he wasn't a good fit for the position. Now James is pursuing legal action against the network. And Craig James joins us now from our D.C. bureau to talk about his situation. Craig, what exactly happened between you and Fox Sports?
Well, Mark, thanks for having me, first of all. It was a very brief tenure, I would say, at Fox Sports. They called me and said they had a show on Saturday night. Would you like to do it? And I said, absolutely. They issued the press release that said they were looking forward to having my talents and me on the show with them. They'd followed me. It was a very nice, complimentary press release. The next night I did the show. The following night, I get a phone call that it's over with, that Fox Sports out in California was no longer going to allow this to happen. And then the next day I come to find out it's because of some comments that I had made in answering in a candidate debate what the definition of marriage was. And I think it's between a man and a woman. Well, that's why I was fired. They told the Dallas Morning News that those comments and that position would not work in their HR department. So I'm being punished for my biblical beliefs.
Well, what do you hope to gain from taking a stand against the network?
Well, first of all, they got to admit what they did was wrong. And I also hope, most importantly on this thing, that people realize that it's not about me, Craig James. It's about an American who was fired for his religious beliefs in the United States of America. That's what I'm hopeful, that people will stand up and be heard. Because, Mark, right now, the other side is being heard. And I hope that all who enjoy their religious liberties and their freedoms, whatever their faith is, that they stand boldly and passionately and be heard. If we don't do that, the slope that we're on right now in this country is going to become so dramatic that we won't be able to overcome it.
Do you feel like this is a spiritual battle, Craig?
What else could it be, Mark? It has to be. And you know, I've had a faith my entire life. I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I've never hidden from that. I've always been out there with it. I've been in broadcast television for over 20 years and it was never an issue. I was an athlete in a locker room with a lot of different backgrounds of people. That was never an issue. So all of a sudden now, because of an answer that I gave and a belief that I have, not my belief, it's what God says. And Mark, I've said many times, I want to be biblically correct, not politically correct. And that's okay. It's okay to have that belief. And so that's why I'm fighting for this.
Well, Craig, have you heard back from Fox Sports yet?
No, we haven't. It's like the old cricket sound in the house here. But I have engaged at Liberty Institute. They are representing me, and we are going to be bold and strong. They punched me in the face. I'm not going away on this thing. I'm going to be loud and boisterous. If those are out there who are interested in following along, go to libertyinstitute.org. You can see what we're trying to accomplish, how we're going about our mission. But we have to stand and be heard on this and not let it slip and go underneath the rug.
All right, former NFL running back and sports broadcaster Craig James. Craig, thanks for your time. We appreciate your boldness.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Up next, how Nazi ideology is still thriving in the Middle East 60 years after World War II.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
Stop struggling with heavy hoses that are kinked and deliver little or no water, or worse, break. Introducing the incredible flexible hose. Turn the water on and it expands up to 3 times its original length, so you can easily guide it anywhere you need without tangling. When you turn the water off, as it drains, the hose retracts back to its original shape. Standard rubber hoses can weigh between 8 and 12 pounds, but a 25-foot flexible hose weighs less than a pound. The flexible hose is so compact and lightweight, a child can manage a 75-foot hose easily. The flexible hose will never kink and is guaranteed to take the mess out of watering your lawn and plants. So washing your windows or spraying off your gutters has never been easier. The flexible hose is made of a tough double wall construction that is designed to bend and stretch but never kink.
Flexible hose is designed like a fire hose for speed, storage, and strength to last a really long time.
Call or visit flexiblehose.com to order the incredible flexible hose for only $19.95. Call right now and we will include a 7-way adjustable spray nozzle free. You can choose a full action spray, a gentle mist, a powerful jet, a vertical mist, flat spray, a cone spray, or a soaker setting. So stop coiling your hose with bulky devices. Flexible hose automatically retracts in seconds and weighs less than 1 pound. In fact, a 75-foot hose easily fits in a small bucket and stores away neatly in a drawer. Flexible hose saves you precious space on boats and is perfectly portable for RVs. But wait, order today and we'll give you a second flexible hose system free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's 2 flexible hoses and 2 7-way adjustable spray nozzles, a $40 value, all for only $19.95. This offer is not available in any store. Order now.
To order flexible hose and take advantage of this amazing double offer, call 1-800-769-3384 or go to flexiblehose.com. Remember, this offer is not available in stores, so call now.
A retired Israeli army officer was murdered overnight. It's just the latest in a string of terror attacks against Israelis. Soraya Offer was bludgeoned and stabbed to death outside his home in the northern Jordan Valley.
Unfortunately, this has been the 3rd terrorist-related attack within the last 2 weeks, and our security assessments are continuing at the moment as the hunt for the suspects continues.
Last week, a 9-year-old girl miraculously survived a shooting outside her home in a community in Samaria. For more insight on what's going on in Israel, make sure you check our weekly show and blog, Jerusalem Dateline. You can find it at our website, cbnnews.com. 6 decades ago, the Jews endured the Holocaust. Today, Israel faces threats of destruction from its enemies in the Muslim world. And although Hitler's Nazi regime may have ended long ago, his legacy is still alive in some Muslim groups. Dale Hurd has tonight's Focus Report.
1945, the end of Nazi Germany and the so-called final solution, the Nazi program to exterminate the Jews. But was it the end? A German professor says the spirit of the final solution did not die with the Nazi regime, but was passed on to Israel's enemies in the Middle East.
Absolutely. They are not the Nazis. It's not the same. And Auschwitz, was a singular crime. There are no gas chambers and stuff like this. But you can say the ideology of the Nazis is still alive. And you see it by the arbitrary killing of Jews.
Himself the son of Nazi supporters, Matthias Kunzel is today a professor of political science in Hamburg, Germany, and the author of Jihad and Jew Hatred, Islamism, Nazism, and the Roots of 9/11.
My starting point was, of course, Auschwitz, because I'm a German, and so I had to study how could this happen.
Kunzel found himself asking the same question after 9/11, and he knew immediately that part of the answer was Nazi ideology. He knew that Hitler had dreamed of destroying New York because it was Jewish, the same view, according to German court records, of 9/11 leader Mohammed Atta.
When I saw the 9/11 event in television in Germany, it was not difficult for me to see the fingerprints of anti-Semitism even in this event.
A central figure in Kunzel's book is the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Haj Amin al-Husseini, the highest Muslim authority in Palestine and an ardent admirer of the Nazis. As a close friend of SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, the Mufti spent World War II in Nazi Germany. He helped oversee a German shortwave broadcast to the Middle East called Radio Zissen, which tried to win over Arabs and Muslims to the Nazi cause.
Every evening there was this kind of anti-Semitic propaganda in order to influence the mindset of the Arabs. And it was sent not only in Arabic language, but also in Persian language, also in Turkish language.
A faithful listener to the anti-Semitic programs in Persian on Radio Zissen was a young Ayatollah Khomeini, who would later turn Iran into a Muslim theocracy which today seeks the destruction of Israel. Kunzel also documents how the Nazis gave money to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt.
Nazi Germany put all its weight behind the Muslim Brotherhood.
And the Muslim Brotherhood distributed Arabic translations of Mein Kampf. The Muslim Brotherhood is the parent of terrorist groups like the PLO, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Al-Qaeda. The Mufti living in Berlin hoped to bring the Nazis' final solution to Palestine and was personally responsible for persuading the Nazis not to free 5,000 Jewish children, who were sent to death camps instead. After the war, the Mufti faced war crimes charges, but the Allies feared angering the Arabs and allowed the Mufti to return to the Middle East, where he lived until 1974. Before he died, he handpicked as his successor to lead the Palestinians a family relative named Yasser Arafat.
The Mufti thought that Arafat would be the right guy to lead the Palestinian movement.
Kunzel says parts of Islam have always been anti-Semitic and not because of Nazi ideology. But he says what the Nazis did export to the Middle East is the idea that the world will not be truly liberated until the Jews are dead.
If you want to kill any Jew, you go with a suicide belt in the middle of the city and every victim is a good victim because it's a Jew. This is the Nazi mindset. And if you shoot now the rockets, nobody knows who will get killed. But if it's a Jew, it's always good. It does not matter who he was, what he thinks about politics, what he did in his life. If it's a Jew, he or she has to be killed.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Up next, CBN News hits the streets to see what people are saying about Congress.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Welcome back. Many Americans are unhappy with Washington lawmakers. That's no surprise. Few approve of the way President Obama is handling most major issues. They say he is not decisive, honest, or reasonable. And most Americans describe the GOP as unlikable and dishonest. So Caitlin Burke went out to see what kind of rating people give Congress.
If you had to rate Congress right now, what would you give them on a score of 1 to 10?
Wow. Well, maybe 5. I imagine the blame could be sort of dispersed. It'd be hard to tell who's winning the fight. It looks like they've sort of locked horns and they're so caught up in bipartisanship that, you can't get anything done. It's sort of a deadlock.
Pretty low. 3, 0.
All right, care to elaborate?
Needs to get finished. We need to have people back at work.
The government shutdown is in its second week. The debt ceiling deadline is coming up. If you had to rate Congress right now on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give them?
Really? They should, come on, grow up.
2. Yeah.
Okay.
2.
How come?
Most of Congress is not doing their job. The point of electing officials to represent you is to indeed represent you. I believe I read a quote online where it's now more socially acceptable to be homosexual than to be a congressman. And I think that's completely true.
If you had to rate Congress right now on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give them?
I would give them a 1. That's what they earned. Fair enough.
I just need you to rate Congress for me on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, don't ask me. I didn't say they should be shot for treason.
Well, there you go.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Wow, some harsh criticism. That's all for this edition of NewsWatch. Remember, you can email us at cbnnews.com.